And we are back to the Tech Lounge over here. That's the second day for us on the live stream, third day of Mobile World Congress 2015 in Barcelona. I'm very glad to have Ayse Ildeniz over here. She's the Vice President of Business and Development and Strategy for the New Devices Group. And we're going to talk a little bit more about wearables, technology, and fashion. Well, nice to have you here, Ayse. How are you doing?
Thank you very much. I'm good. Glad to be here. Thanks a lot.
Is this your first day at Mobile World Congress?
No, it's my second day.
Oh, there you go.
I got here yesterday. Yep.
Did you have the chance to walk around a little bit
Just
to see
a little
something?
bit. Yesterday was packed with meetings, but at least our hall I got to walk around.
So, our big topic for today will be basically the fusion of fashion and tech, which is getting really, really interesting right now with all the wearables that are popping up all over the place, and where we actually can see, how technology is kind of moving towards and into the fashion industry. So, you're working for a pretty new group at Intel, right?
Yes, we are. I mean, we've been formed just a year and a half ago, and our intent is basically to look at the wearables world as well as the larger world of new devices and come up with basically products that serve this market. And we've been out to create a category, is how I can define our charter. We've been working with the fashion industry the past year, and it's been an incredible journey, I must say. As a technologist, it's been very, very new to deal with this totally different crowd compared to, what we do every day. It's been very exciting.
And we saw already a little bit at CES, right? Well, because Intel was showing this amazing spider dress from Anouk Wipprecht, which was connected to Edison modules, right?
And then even Curie just fits in the size of a button, so you can actually integrate it into clothing, which is legitimately really interesting, that you can have a computer the size of a button on you all the time. And then on your wrist, which is something I've been so excited. When I saw that at IDF, I was like, oh my God, get me a hands-on with that right away. It's beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, no, I mean, well, we've been trying to do a couple of things. First of all, we're trying to do these reference designs, and I think Mika is one of them.
Let's make sure to get this into the camera.
Sure, we can. So Mika is designed to look like a bracelet. In reality, it's a smart bracelet. And when you turn it and then you turn it on, over here, there's the applications, and it's basically a communication device, and you can get into your schedule and what have you. So it's not an overcomplicated wearable in any way. Unlike the stuff on the market, it's very simple. It does few things, but it's beautiful, and that's intent. Besides, putting out there these reference hero products, what we're trying to do, of course, is, as you mentioned, lying down a ground, basically roadmap of chips and products and modules that's going to be coming out. And then, of course, Curie, we're expecting that in the second half of the year. And it is very small, and it is very low power consuming, and that's the beauty of it. But what we have seen in the past year is that fashion industry doesn't know technology, doesn't want to know technology, and for them it's too complicated, too sophisticated, and they're looking for modular solutions which are simple to implement. So I think this is why we came out with the Curie module, where with the help of a couple of engineers and without having the entire ecosystem or the infrastructure, hundreds and hundreds of people, you can simply utilize that and turn it into something beautiful or interesting. For many industries, fashion industry is one, and that's the references that we're creating. But eventually, it could open up a whole new world for Internet of Things. So that's our intent.
This must be a huge challenge, because you're bringing like two industries together that have never ever had any contact with each other, right?
Yeah.
And now, because it's very, very, I mean, come on, the fashion industry is like thousands of years old, and when we're talking about CPUs and silicon, we're talking about 50 years, and now this must be quite a challenge for you.
Indeed. I mean, it's been, as I said, it's been a crazy year that I never thought, I would see. I was in New York Fashion Week last week, and then before, of course, we went on to all the fashion weeks and what have you. It's very different. The way that they approach us is they think we're pretty alienated in our own world, which is true. When we first kicked this off, this probably is one of the things that has been built from scratch together as two industries, and this is why it's so exciting, in the sense that they kept on, wanting things that are not doable in technology. So I'll give you one example. They said, for Mika, first of all, when they saw it, it was much more rectangular because, electronics cannot be flexed too much, otherwise they'll break. So they're like, no, this is way not too thick and too rectangular. So it has to be much rounder, much thinner, is the feedback we got. And we're like, well, okay, is this good enough? And we kept on trying to beautify it. The other funny thing is the first designs came from New York, and they had designed it entirely out of metal. Totally. And there's a 3G radio. And so our engineers just had a heart attack, and they're like, there's no way this never is going to emit any radio frequency. So we had to sit with them, and, thank God we got a fabulous industrial design team who's very versed in fashion and dealing with design. So they said, Ayse, how about we do something that looks like metal? In reality, it's not metal. It's polycarbonate. And there's elements of gold that gives it the metal feel. So it's been an immense learning experience, I think, for us, the technologists, and them, the fashion. But the most important thing is, I think, we started to think like them. So one example of it is when we first built the bracelet together, we put actually this screen on the top.
Yeah.
So it was visible to everybody. Yeah. And they said, no, women don't want anybody to know, one, the messages they get, two, they don't want them that they're using a smart device after all, because they don't think that's cool. Yeah. Okay, so we hid it. So now it's in the inside, and I turn it on, and I look at it, and then I turn it off.
I think this is absolutely cool. And you know what? From an engineer's perspective, and for the developers, this is an amazing feedback that you're getting right. Very valuable, because who knows more about wearables than the fashion industry? Exactly. They build the very, and maybe even watchmakers in the future, because remember, it was Patek Philippe who built the first watch in 1848, and they gave it to a countess in Hungary, which was also basically the first kind of smart wearable somehow. Yeah. And to get this feedback from these traditional industries is absolutely amazing.
But that's actually what I really liked about Mika, and like even seeing Curie and a lot of the designs that Intel's bringing forward, say in the Make It Wearable challenge, is that all the other companies are trying to cram the future of tech, like a form factor and a use case that we have yet to figure out. Right. And they're trying to cram it into something that was designed over 200 years ago. Right, and I find it so frustrating to listen to people talk about it. Oh, no, but this one has a nice leather band. I'm like, if they haven't figured out how to put a band on a watch by now, how is this a discussion that we're having? And it drives me nuts that's primarily the discussion that's going on. And so then when you guys came out with Mika, I was like, thank God somebody's actually trying to innovate the form factor, come out with something in a way that isn't 200 years old, but modern and not usable or not useful yet. So I was always kind of like, thank God Intel did that. And then now I can't wait to see what happens with Curie. Yeah. Because like honestly, if it's just a button and it's a whole computer, what could the industry do with that?
Exactly. I think that is the whole idea. I think the innovation is with the developers, the creators. It's that's when really creativity begins, not with the technology companies necessarily. This is why we have this whole maker movement support at Intel. We started with Galileo, and we ship thousands and thousands of units of these boards to schools so that kids can create robots and different things. And then this year we announced Edison and started shipping it. And Edison is great for the pro maker community, which is going to turn a lamp into a smart lamp, as an example, or anything you can see in this room or the devices that we're all using. But the beauty of Curie will be unlocking that aesthetic element because it's so small and it doesn't necessarily need the humongous engineering power that anybody else would need to make these devices. So we're hoping that, as you said, I keep saying that, which is we need to approach these industries humbly and accept that they've been there thousands of years and they know what people actually want, and they're the ones who will probably innovate and come up with a different types of form factors, which are artists, creators, a bunch of really creative, crazy people. It doesn't have to be us. It's a matter of democratization of the technology and giving it to everybody and making it open, I think is the answer. going
I like
forward.
that.
Yeah.
There's this nice saying about technology should be like plumbing. If you can't see it and if you won't really notice it, it works,
There you
right?
go.
And
There you go.
this is exactly where I see the fusion of tech and fashion, right? Because I mean, we know how a hoodie looks like and we know how a wristband looks like, but if we can make them smart and if we can get proper sensors in there, and if we're actually getting benefit out of this, which is also very, very crucial
Yeah.
here, what are we actually doing with the technology that we're getting into the fashion? It's not only for the purpose of getting technology into fashion, it's about how it's gonna serve us in the future, right? So, and I think, you know what, this is absolutely amazing. What is happening right now? It really kicked off in the last 12 months, in my opinion, right? We've been starting to scratch on the surface of it.
I agree. I think in so many ways we probably still are. I mean, when I walk around the whole fair, it's pretty impressive how many devices out there. What I can't wait to see is that rather than the devices, I'd love to see a proliferation of usage cases.
Yeah.
They're all serving very generic fitness running person, and this is all they're doing right now. I think when this thing is going to stop being just a couple of million things rather to billion things is when it starts to serve health purposes. It starts to serve and help elderly people. People in emerging markets with various different problems every single day. I'll give you an example, which was, mind-blowing for me, having, just got into this business and learning it. We keep looking at our heart rate, and it's a big deal, right? Heart rate is a part of the wearables today. Why do we use it? Because we like to track how fast you're running or how hard, your heart is beating. Reality is 7 billion people, 7 billion different heart rates. Once you know that, you could use it as a security checking authentication mechanism.
That's a really good point. Yeah.
I mean, look at this, right? I have this little watch. It's looking how fast my heart rate is, and then it's telling me that I'm actually Ayse and the person that I am, and I'm not you, and I'm not somebody else. The moment you unlock that, I'll give you a little example, not necessarily this technology. Our group in India did this application of women harassment is an issue in India and women's safety. So they actually put this device on women, which acts as a security device, that their families know it's them, and there's a button, and if you push it, it'll let the police and the ladies know. It has this potential. It's not implemented yet. But so many different usage cases like this that can better your life is when all these sensors and devices are going to be really important, rather than this, it's the trend and it's cool, so I got to have one. We got to go beyond that, I think, is the important thing.
Do you already have products on the market together with partners right now?
Yes,
And
yes.
Can we actually get them over here in Europe? Mm-hmm. Can we buy them already?
Some of them.
Okay.
So Mika right now is being sold at Barney's department store. We did this with Opening Ceremony, which is a designer house out of New York City, and they're a pretty trendy, cool store. So this is sold solely in the United States for the moment, although it has roaming and it works perfectly in Spain, worked perfectly in China when I was over there. So it's great. As far as SMS audio is concerned, and there are smart earbuds, and our partner SMS Audio, who's owned by 50 Cent, the rapper.
Yeah. The Biosports one.
The Biosports one. That's
We've had
it.
them in the
Right?
review. We have them.
I have a pair.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Good. I hope it's working for you.
It is. It's motivating me to get to the gym.
Okay, well, there you go. And the coolest thing about it is this is a not very well-known fact. It does not require any electricity or power to run. It just uses your jack, but it doesn't suck up energy out of your phone at all. So it's a wonderful breakthrough innovation that our guys in the research lab did for it. Anyway, it is available. It's being sold. UK and Germany are the two countries for the moment. But as we get certification in different languages, it's going to proliferate out in Europe, Western Europe, Russia, as well as in Middle East. And then the third is the Basis Peak. Basis Peak is a company that we bought last year out of San Francisco, and they just came out with their second product. And this product will also be widely distributed out in Western Europe primarily, and then it'll filter out to Eastern Europe as well as Middle East and Africa. And primarily it starts right away in UK and in Germany. And then, as I said, in the coming quarter, it should go to all countries over there.
Well, fantastic. So, besides that, I mean, you constantly have to evolve this technology, and you constantly have to get feedback out of the industry.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, what could be next? Right now, we're talking about smart wristbands. We're talking about these smart earbuds.
Yeah. What's next, right?
Well, what's next? What's smart shoes, smart shirts? Well, we've seen smart shirts already. They've been around for quite a while.
Sure. Well, lately we have announced a couple of bigger partnerships. The first one is the Luxottica. And Luxottica, of course, is the biggest eye manufacturer in the world. And they pretty much do almost all over 80% of all the eyewear brands are manufactured by Luxottica. From that perspective, it's a very cool partnership. And Oakley, sunglasses and sports glasses manufacturer, Oakley is our number one partner through the Luxottica relationship. And we're very much looking forward to doing research and development as well as products together with Oakley. So that's the first thing that's coming up. So heads-up display, I think, needs to be, discussed and uncovered in so many different ways. And we're certainly working on that using their prior experience as Oakley, because they did deal with various electronic bits into eyeglass before. The other big partnership we have is with the Fossil Group. Fossil Group is the third biggest watch manufacturer in the world, and they also have a slew of number of different watch brands that they make watches for. So we're working together with them and expect new products from them that they work together with us within this year. Now, I think the feature in my head, though, is this: two things. One, we got to make sure these accessory makers who do everyday things you wear, I wear, from my earrings to my shoes to my skirt and what have you, your glasses, how do we make these people adopt technology? I think is the number one hurdle we collectively need to get over. It's these billions of people and billions of things that they wear. Can we make them smarter? I think is the first thing. And the second is not just the very big guys to adopt technology. Can you and I make technology? And to that, I think this is why we have Curie. This is why you're going to be seeing many cooler platforms, not just for in small form factors, but maybe to understand our voice, to get more artificial intelligence to our lives, and then our visual and what we wear on our heads. So all of these three things I expect hopefully will get modular, simpler, so that people can do them themselves rather than having to wait for big technology companies to invent it is the way.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you guys have a very good start with that Make It Wearables competition that happened at the end of last year. I actually flew to San Francisco to go check out some of the final. Yeah, okay. Absolutely. Right. And actually, a lot of those guys are here on the booth. So there's the Baby Bee that is actually saving the lives of premature babies, right? Helping them get out of the incubator faster. But of course, the crowd favorite and the winner was obviously the Nixie, the drone.
The little drone from your wrist, yeah.
Yeah, the wrist-mounted drone. Nixie's not here, but there's even a smart bike outside that will talk to you. He asked me to go to Madrid with him.
Oh, wow. There you go. It's a BMW motorbike that actually, it's not the helmet, it's the motorcycle that's the smart. We put the Edison on the bike and it talks to the machine's basically intelligence unit, and it gets all the information. It basically, what it does is it turns it into words and tells you what's going on, and you got X many miles of gas to go, and here's the next gas station, what have you. But we put the module on the motorcycle, which is so exciting. I'm a biker myself, so I was like, oh my God, I can't wait to use this thing. It's a prototype at the moment, but so I mean, it's endless, I think, what you can invent and come up with through Edison or Curie for that matter.
Absolutely. And when we wrap this up, I think that we should actually go to the Intel booth tour, where I show off all the things in this amazing booth, and then I actually end with that whole section of the Make It Wearables, where they have the jersey with the camera mounted inside that they're actually renting out to TV stations so that you can have first-person perspective from the football footballer.
Yeah, we're gonna
Yeah.
get the Intel booth tour into the stream after this one. But you know what? I'm still dreaming of this kind of. When I think about fashion and technology, or let's say wearables, I'm thinking of I want to have like a pair of smart shoes that are turning the kinetic energy that I'm producing while I'm walking to recharge batteries that are not only in the shoe but also wirelessly recharging batteries that I have in my jacket. And my jacket has some sensors in there which is constantly measuring my body temperature and also the temperature outside, and it's just balancing it out by reheating it with the flexible batteries that I have in my jacket, right? So it doesn't really sound like well, I mean, the experience that they're getting through this, right, will not refer for the average users to something amazing, like an amazing technology, because it's just about heating, right? But we're talking about electricity that needs to come from one end and goes to the other, and a kind of without recharging it, without the need of an outlet. We are producing energy by walking. Right, and we have technology, even Intel's technologies about wireless charging. Yes, we can't make these 3 or 5 foot right now, right? But we can already get through like 2 inches of wood. So sooner or later, this is definitely going to happen, right? And we know we saw prototypes of jackets with flexible batteries in there that they are selling to workers to the polar circle somewhere or to the Arctic Circle. So this is going to happen. And this is, I think, as soon as we reach this point where the technology itself is so hidden and also so self-explaining for the users, it will become so... Yeah, it will be all around us. It will be all over the place. And people wouldn't even notice it. They would just take it as a given because they're getting this amazing benefit out of it.
No, absolutely. I mean, I am, there's 2 theories as to how this thing is going to evolve. One theory is there's only one thing. Right now, it's the cell phone. And that thing is the heart of everything, and the information is going to be stored there, and that's what you're going to be reliant on. The other way is that all this thing is going to be distributed, the intelligence, the charging, the whatever it takes, and then they work in synchronicity with each other, and there's going to be a ton of different sensors. The theory right now is around 50 billion is the number, maybe around 2025. I actually think that is the way to go, which is it's going to be much more distributed and everything is going to be smarter. It's going to be cracking how they interact with each other is going to be the next big thing, I think, is the way. So.
Absolutely.
Ayse, thank you so much for being on the stream. It was super exciting to hear talking about this and to see what's happening in this industry right now. We're going to be on our booth tour in about a minute or so. And then we're going to get back to our next guest, which is... it's going to be Kai Plitke from Microsoft. So we're going to talk about what's going on with them, what's going on with Windows Phone, what's going on with Windows 10. It's an hour-long tech talk about, the state of Microsoft. So going to see you soon.